colors. Color guard, please post the flag of the United States of America. Color guard, post the flag of the great state of Florida. Color guard, honor your colors. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. Color guard dismissed.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for our national anthem, sung by Ray Andrea Johnson.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome President of the American Muslim Democratic Caucus of Florida, Junaid Akhtar, Pastor Robert Spooney, and Ira Robb for our invocation.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, Rabbi Weiner was not able to be here to do the invocation, and they were looking for someone again to replace him. My name is Ira Rab. They went down the list of the attendees. When they got to R, they saw a Rab. Ira is an I, Rabbi, and here I am. You have to forgive me. I just received this script only 5 minutes ago, and I'll do the best I can. Dear God, this weekend we ask your blessings upon all of us. Help us understand that only when we have each other's backs can we overcome the hatred which infects our beloved America.
Heavenly Father, we come before you with hearts of praise and thanksgiving. Teach us to defend the lives and rights of all of our children, regardless of their races, their religions, their ethnic origins, their sexes, their ages, their sexual orientations. Give us the wisdom to make the most compassionate decisions.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon all of you, and Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, in the name of Allah, the most compassionate, most merciful. Wal asr, innal insana lafi khusr, illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihat, wa tawasaw bil haqq, wa tawasaw bil sabr. O Allah, God, the Lord of the universe, you teach humankind to be patient and righteous among ourselves, our neighbors, and our fellow human being. Let us be compassionate at this time of intolerance and hatred. Bless our nations, ourselves, and our leaders to apply the American value of the goodness, the holiness of every person. Remind every one of us and every one of our leaders that we can fight for each other, for justice, for equality, regardless of race, color, religion, ethnic background, and sexual orientation.
I'm now going to recite the Lord's blessings in Hebrew. And when I'm finished, the pastor who understands Hebrew very well, he will translate it into English. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasei lecha shalom.
The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make God's face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn God's face towards you and give you peace.
In all of your holiness, O God, we thank you for bringing us together in this room. Wonderful people, foot soldiers, leaders. Unite us against bigotry. We all said together, Amen, Amen, Amen.
I'm now reading from the same script that Rabbi Weiner wrote. Now, please greet, embrace, hug, and kiss your neighbors.
That was good. Good job.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chair of Florida Democratic Party, Chairwoman Terry Rizzo.
Hello, Florida Democrats. Hello, Florida Democrats. Could everybody get seated? Hello. Relax, and sit down at your tables and enjoy. Good evening, fellow Florida Democrats. Come on, I want to hear you. Good evening, Florida Democrats. One more time. You can do better than that. This is Florida. Good evening, Florida Democrats. All right, that's much better. I am so thrilled to be here tonight with all of you after we've had such a wonderful state convention this weekend. As I look out at the crowd here tonight, I see the best team in the country. I see our friends, our supporters, and most importantly, members of our grassroots movement that we built together based on the values that we all share. I'm thrilled because of the work that we have done together in 2019. We have made tremendous progress, and we have built a movement. And together, we're prepared to turn the state and the White House what color? Say it again. Say it 3 times. That's what we're going to do. My fellow Democrats, you are inspiring me, and you're inspiring our state. You inspire me because of our shared values, our enthusiasm, and our drive to move this great country in a better direction. Could I ask everybody to sit down, please? Because everybody needs to hear what we are going to do to move our path to victory. It requires us to get our people registered, to the polls, and to ensure that their votes are counted. We know the stakes. That is why we've expanded our field and data teams, and that is why we have invested over $3 million into our voter registration program. And that's why we launched our voter protection program, which is a brand new program with a voter protection hotline. Now, you all should know this. I want everybody to take, if you don't know it, take out your cell phone right now and put in your cell phone 1-833-VOTE-FLA. 1-833-VOTE-FLA. So voters can get the assistance they need to ensure that their vote counts. Everybody should have this and keep it on hand all the time. As you saw in the last legislative session, the Republican-controlled legislature will go to any lengths to suppress the vote, won't they? We won't stand for voter suppression. We won't stand for Floridians being robbed of their rights, and we will not stand for the Florida Republican Party's continued attacks on Amendment 4. Now, Governor Ron DeSantis could follow Commissioner Fried's advice to restore the rules put in place by former Governor Charlie Crist, to expand voting rights to many ex-felons the way the Governor Crist did. But so far, Governor DeSantis has refused to act. Earlier today, those of you who were on the floor of the convention heard me refer to Governor DeSantis, along with Attorney General Ashley Moody and Chief Financial Officer Jimmy Patronis, as what? The axis of corruption. They don't have to block the rights of voters. They don't have to engage in play-to-pay politics. They choose to put power and greed ahead of our state. They are the axis of corruption. They choose to emulate a president that has built a legacy on graft and lies. They are the axis of corruption. That is why in 2020 and 2022, we are going to be such critical elections, and we are going to work like crazy to elect Democrats. Because we need to restore integrity to the White House, and we need to clean house in Tallahassee, don't we? As we all know, and we know too well, Florida has a history of razor-thin elections. And we know that 2020 is going to be close, double Democrats. It's going to be close. And we all need to push hard for victory. And if we all fight above our weight, just a little bit, fight above our weight, we are going to be successful and we are going to win. Are we going to win? Are we going to fight above our weight? We're going to do it. The Florida Democratic Party is investing in our county parties through training and fundraising. Each and every one of you here needs to support your county party, volunteer, attend a county phone bank, register voters, and knock on doors. Am I right? How many are going to do it? Raise your hands. I want every hand up in this room. Raise those hands. All right. We don't ever want to go back to where we were in 2016. We don't want to go back to a place where we didn't win the election. Can we stand another year of Donald Trump? No. Much less another 4? No. The race in 2020 is not about tweets. It's not about Donald Trump's temper tantrums. It's about saving our democracy, pure and simple. It's about the future of our nation, pure and simple. It's about reminding a president that no one is above the law, pure and simple. It's about protecting people's health, about making sure that no one is denied health care because of a pre-existing condition, and it's about ensuring a woman can make her own decisions about her body. It's about reminding people that LGBTQ rights are human rights, and human rights are LGBTQ rights. It's about preventing our children from inheriting a planet ravaged by climate change.
Hey, Steph.
And it's about having living wages, affordable rents, and quality schools. It isn't about who we're opposed to. It's about electing a Democrat who is for and will work for the people of Florida and the American people. Am I right? The path to victory, Florida Democrats, we know where that path to victory goes through. It goes right through our state. The path to victory goes through Florida. We have to win Florida. The nation and the world are counting on us. Can they count on us? Yeah. It's not going to be easy, and we know that, which is why we're committed now to doing the work it takes to win big. You are a critical part of this movement, and I cannot wait to see the work that we are going to do in the next year and 14 days as we accomplish the work to win in 2020. Thank you, Florida Democrats. Thank you for all you do every day. Thank you for all you are going to do every day between now and the election. And thank you for what we're going to do on November 3rd in 2020 when we win. Thank you, Florida Democrats. And now I'd like to bring with me part of our team who are critical components of our Florida Democratic Party team. First, our constitutional officers, and then our DNC members. First, our first vice chair, the incredible first vice chair, and DNC member, and chair of the Jackson County DEC, Ms. Judy Mount. Judy, come on up. All right, Judy Mount. All right. Next, our amazing treasurer, Francine Garcia. Go in front of the chair so people can see you. All right. Francine? Okay, thank you. And our incredible secretary and DNC member, Casmore Shaw. Okay, all right. All right. And our other fellow DNC members who serve on the Democratic National Committee. First, welcome Nikki Barnes. Nikki. Come on up, Nikki. And now Cynthia Bush. Cynthia, come on. Are you here? All right. There you go. Cynthia, you line up over there. And Grace Carrington. Taking back red. Alan Clendenin. And Ken Evans. Thank you, Al. And Alma R. Gonzalez.
Emphasis on the R.
I don't know why it's there. And John A. Ramos. John, okay, he's coming up. He's on his way. And Craig Smith. These are our DNC members who are with us tonight. Our constitutional officers. Would you everybody please give them a wonderful round of applause? And thank them for all the work they do. Thank you, team. All right. And at this time, I'd like to ask all of our county chairs, caucus presidents, and DEC members to please stand. You are the backbone of our party. Everybody up. Everybody up. County chairs, caucus presidents, DEC members, and caucus members. Everybody up. Look at the folks who are in this room who are out there working every day in our county parties and our caucuses. Thank you all, everybody. All right. Now, I'd like to turn it over to our amazing first vice chair, Ms. Judy Mount. Ms. Judy?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all been having a good time? Okay, well, we're gonna keep rocking it. Right now, it is my pleasure to wear another hat that you didn't know that I had. For the last 17 years, I have been employed by the Florida House of Representatives. Since I have been there, my state representatives, when I started, are now the senators. So I'm just in hog heaven. But I want you to know that, okay, can everybody have your attention coming this way? Side left is good. Side right. While most of us are at home watching what is going on in the Florida legislature, that fight where they are in there every day fighting tooth and nail for us, the citizens of Florida. And it makes me so happy to have such a group of fighters. And ladies and gentlemen, what I would like for you to do right now is please, can I have your attention while I'm finishing? Please help me welcome the hardest fighting legislative leaders in the state of Florida, and please welcome Leader Designate Evan Jenny. We need a lot of applause for him because this is my paycheck. And Senator Victor Torres.
I'm not your paycheck, but.
No, not anymore.
Where do we go from here? You go first?
Yeah. How's everyone doing tonight? Apparently my name is Paycheck. It's nice to meet everyone. No, my name is State Representative Evan Jenny, and the greatest honor of my life is having the 47 men and women of the House Democratic Caucus name me their next incoming leader, along with my colleague Bobby DuBose. Thank you. Thank you. And on behalf of our current leader, Keone McGee, along with my colleagues, Representative Ben Diamond and also Representative Bobby DuBose, I'd like to take the time to introduce you to the most diverse caucus in the history of the state of Florida's legislature, the Florida House Democrats, ladies and gentlemen. Vic might push me off the microphone here in a moment if I talk too nice about my team. Real quick, I do want to introduce you to the members that are here with us. Representative Dan Daly, our newest minted legislator, who just won his special election. The brilliant Joe Geller. And the esteemed and really, quite frankly, one of the greatest forces for good, quite frankly, in Florida's legislature, a woman who I've had the honor of serving with for well over a decade now at this point, Senator, and also for right now, State Representative Geraldine Thompson. Oh, and last, but so far from least, a dear friend of mine, and really one of the great success stories of our caucus, from right here in the great city of Orlando, Representative Amy Mercado. Representative for now. Guys, this caucus I have been a member of for 12 of the last 14 years. They've become my second family. They are really some of the hardest working people who day in and day out go to bat for everyday Floridians. And I can tell you, they represent you with honor. and they represent the people of this state for one reason and one reason only, because the Republican Party of Florida has completely forgotten the constituents that we represent. We will continue to do that, and we will do you proud. And again, I can't tell you what an honor it is to serve with these men and women. They are the backbone of this party, and they are unknown. So please, I ask you, get to know them and support them, and thank them right now. Thank you.
Bueno, buenas noches todos. Latino caucus in the house. Hey. Okay. Including my daughter over there in the corner. Well, I have the pleasures. I represent the district, District 15. This is part of my area. As the state senator for this area, I welcome you all to be here tonight and this evening. This is going to be a great event tonight. To my right, I want to introduce Senator Janet Cruz from Tampa. Yes. Senator Jose Javier from Miami. Senator Annette Tadeo from Miami. And I want to be Senator, my daughter, Amy Mercado. Folks, this is a great honor for me to be here today. Sending you apologies from our leader, Audrey Gibson. She couldn't make it tonight. Or the incoming leader, Gary Farmer, as well. They would have been here tonight to enjoy this evening with you. I ask you for your support. I ask you to get out and vote. Get those constituents, north, south, east, and west of the state of Florida to turn out. We got to win in 2020. Thank you again. God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Charlie Rodriguez.
Buenas noches, Demócratas. Good evening, Democrats. It's great to be in Florida, and more so because I know that next year, Florida will help the Democrats win back the White House and kick out Donald Trump. I come from La Isla del Encanto, Puerto Rico, or as President Trump would say, and I quote, an island surrounded by water, big water, ocean water, end of quote. Yes, from Puerto Rico, a U.S. territory since 1898, and U.S. citizens by birth for over 100 years, where more Americans live than in 21 current states of the Union, and where after more than 2 years of Hurricane Maria, only 25% of the disaster relief funds approved by Congress have been disbursed by the Trump administration to the local government. A month ago, a soldier from Puerto Rico, an American soldier from Puerto Rico, lost his life in Afghanistan. Sergeant First Class Ellis A. Barreto Ortiz, a U.S. soldier from Morovis, Puerto Rico, died in action. We mourn his death and highlight his sacrifice for his country. Even when he could not vote for the president, his commander-in-chief, while residing in the territory. U.S. citizens of Puerto Rico can give the ultimate sacrifice for the nation, but are deprived of equal rights given our territorial status and second-class citizenship. Congress must remedy this travesty by granting statehood to Puerto Rico, by considering by considering and approving H.R. 1965, the Puerto Rico Admission Act, introduced by Congressman Darren Soto, the first federal elected official in Florida of Puerto Rican origin. Because I love this flag. I love this U.S. flag. But I would love it more if it had two more stars. The star for Puerto Rico and the star for Washington, D.C. However, we have an important mission next year. We need to defeat Donald Trump in 2020. We need to send a clear message that America is fed up with Trump's policies based on hate, insult, and racism. Florida will be critical in deciding who will be our next president. The bottom line is that Democrats need to register more voters and get them out to vote. More so in Florida, where elections are usually very close and every vote is needed. The largest voting bloc emerging in Florida and in the nation is the Hispanic Latino vote. We need to engage Latino voters, particularly Puerto Ricans that have recently moved to the Sunshine State, who by birth are U.S. citizens and can almost immediately register to vote. These are the numbers for this state. 25% of the population of this state are Hispanic. For the 2018 midterm elections, 2.2 million Hispanics were registered voters, an 8.4 increase from 2016. And since the beginning of the exploration of Florida in the 16th century, Puerto Ricans have been attracted to this peninsula, to this now state, starting with then Governor of Puerto Rico, Juan Ponce de Leon, who came to Florida. And now, 1.3 million Puerto Ricans are living in Florida. Florida is the state with the highest percentage of residents of Puerto Rican origin, and it continues to grow. The Puerto Rican population in Orange and Osceola County surged in the aftermath of Hurricane Maria to 22% in Osceola and 7% in Orange County. Even in counties like Polk, Pasco, Lake, Marion, and Volusia, there is a correlation between the growing number of Puerto Ricans moving in and a fast growth in registered voters. In these counties, voter registration in 2018 grew by 15% or more over 2016. And you know what's important? They vote for Democrats. They vote for this party. They vote to get Donald Trump out of the White House. A poll was done in March of this year among Puerto Rican registered voters in Florida who voted in the midterms of 2018. And the results are very clear. Of those polled, 57% voted for Andrew Gillum. 27% voted for Ron DeSantis. For senator, 54% voted for Bill Nelson. And only 28% voted for Rick Scott. And President Trump is really solidly underwater. Among those polled, the favorable opinion towards President Trump among these registered Puerto Rican voters who voted in 2018 is only 21%, whereas the unfavorable opinion is 69%. Take back your paper towels, guy. We're coming after you in the elections in 2020. And also, the same poll revealed that almost 80% of Puerto Ricans who live in Florida support state of Puerto Rico. And I have to, at this point, give my gratitude to the convention, to the delegates to the convention of the Florida Democratic Party, because today they approved a resolution endorsing state of Puerto Rico. Thank you so much, Florida, for being with us. But going back to the importance of the vote of Hispanics and Puerto Ricans in particular, look at the numbers in 2018, the results. Senator Bill Nelson lost the election by only 10,000 votes out of 8 million votes cast. In one county, in Hillsborough County alone, out of 66,000 Hispanics that were registered as Democrats, only half turned out to vote. When I talk to them, they tell me, well, you didn't talk to every one of them, but I've talked to many Puerto Ricans in Tampa. They tell me, Charlie, you know, no one asked for the vote. No one came to see us. Because I know in Puerto Rico they're used to that personal touch, door-to-door campaign. And here, basically, everything is done on the media. But even the Hispanic media did not have much advertisement on behalf of Democrats. What a huge difference the outcome in the 2018 midterms would have been if we had engaged, invested, and spent more in seeking the Hispanic vote. It is there. The importance of the Hispanic vote in 2020 cannot be ignored. The lesson is we need to do more with the Hispanic voting bloc if we seek to win Florida and national elections. I look forward to fully participating in the democratic responsibilities of running our nation and electing Democrats to Washington from Puerto Rico once we become a state of the union. But for the 2020 election, you can count on me to help get out the Puerto Rican and Hispanic vote in Florida. We want to win in Florida. We want to help you. Let's seize the moment. Let's win big in Florida, and let's elect a Democrat for president of these United States. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back Chairwoman Terry Rizzo.
And thank you to the Honorable Charlie Rodriguez. Charlie is my counterpart. He is the state chairman for the Puerto Rican Democratic Party. Could you all please give a round of applause for Charlie Rodriguez, my good friend. Now, we are very, very fortunate in Florida to be represented by a number of wonderful Democrats in Congress. The Congress that is now Democratic, the Congress that is producing results. And the people that you're about to see on this stage are part of that change and part of that important movement. I'm honored to introduce these guests who have been a little busy in Washington and were kind enough to take a break to join us tonight. Congresswoman Stephanie Murphy. There she is. All right. Congressman Jaron Soto. And Congresswoman Donna Shalala. A freshman in Congress, right? Oh, you can tell that joke, Donna. I love that. And to moderate the special panel for us is Adam Smith, former political editor for the Tampa Bay Times. You have a treat in front of you tonight, Florida Democrats. So Adam, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you take it away.
Thank you. You know, we almost didn't have time to do this little presentation, so I want to thank Vice President Biden and Senator Warren and Senator Sanders for agreeing to step aside so that we could do this panel. I'll start out with a question maybe to all of you guys. These are all House members, obviously. You've all heard our president and a lot of other people talk about the Do-Nothing Congress, but actually it's not at all a Do-Nothing House. There have been a lot of very significant bills, climate change, prescription drug prices, ethics, LGBTQ protections, you name it. I'm just going down the line. Do you see any hope for some progress with the Senate getting any of these things actually done?
Tiny bit of progress. I mean, maybe Senator Coons can answer that question. But we do have some bills that I believe will get some traction in the Senate. One big one that came out of your committee, actually, Frank Pallone and I are sponsoring a bill on e-cigarettes. And it really raises the age 21. It bans flavors. It bans advertising. E-cigarettes is a hot issue, and I think there's a chance it'd be a big step in public health. Certainly that is an example. We tried on TPS, and I don't know whether you think we're going to get any traction, Darren, on TPS for Venezuelans in particular. And of course, we have a big bill on DACA on those that are covered by TPS. But at least there's some light. And of course, we've passed 99% of the appropriations bills. So they're sitting over there. Some of them will get passed, probably.
A glimmer of hope. Let's, for instance, gun safety reform, anything?
Background checks, Darren?
So we saw last term, even when we were in the minority, that a criminal justice reform passed. We brought a farm bill in for landing. Heck, this year we stopped a short-sighted government shutdown that people thought would never end. So I think there's always a possibility. The main common ground is in infrastructure and in lowering prescription drug prices. Those would be great areas to start. I know Senator Coons and others are working on that in the Senate, so those would be areas I'd say to look out for.
Well, I think that we have a real pathway towards lowering prescription drug costs with the Senate bill and both Darren and I's committee going back next week and starting to do hearings and markup on the House version of that. There is nothing that has so much consensus as the lowering of prescription drug costs. The White House, the Senate, the House, the Republicans, the Democrats, everybody agrees, and the American people, more importantly, agree that we have to lower prescription drug costs. So I think that that's a possibility. And then there are things that usually pass as a part of must-pass bills. So in the spending bills, as well as the Intel authorization bill, for me, particularly important is within the Intel authorization bill, there are some election security measures that are kind of embedded in that. There's not a whole lot of fanfare around it, but it's going to help us get to securing our election systems and making sure that the vulnerabilities that existed in 2016 don't exist in 2020. So I actually see, some hope. But I will acknowledge that we in the House have passed over 200 bills, almost 250 bills, and the Senate hasn't taken any of those up. And that's an abrogation of duty. Senator McConnell not allowing any of those bills for an up or down vote is just, it's not what you're supposed to do when you're a legislator.
So this, Congressman Soto, the elephant in the room, or the national capital, so to speak, is impeachment. There was for a while a debate about whether impeachment should happen. The president made that impossible to ignore. But you're sitting between two people who are in swing districts where it's not quite as easy a political issue as it might be somebody in your district. What's the question? How do you see this going, and what would be how should the Democrats most effectively handle this?
Your House Democratic majority is narrowly focused on what just transpired with Ukraine. One, the president asked for assistance with his re-election from a foreign power. That is illegal, that is wrong, and that's a betrayal and an undermining of our democracy. And two, he tried to cover it up. And so we will proceed narrowly on the facts, narrowly on the witnesses as presented in this phone call and transcript, or sort of transcript, that has been given to us by the White House, which is different than a lot of other investigations. That is now admitted. We will call those witnesses. The facts will lead us to conclusions, but let's just say, frankly, the letter has a lot of damning evidence already in it. But we will get to the end. We will make our decision on both the ultimate grounds if we pass impeachment or not, but each member will make their own decision. And if they try to block us or stifle us or not present information that's requested, that will simply be put into count 2, which is obstruction of justice, the cover-up aspect of this.
And I'm curious, Congresswoman Shalala, when you're running for re-election, is impeachment going to be part of the campaign, do you think?
Well, it certainly will, depending on how we end up voting. But it's an issue now because while the Mueller report was kind of mush, I mean, it clearly had obstruction of justice in it, a number of counts. Mueller, in my judgment, blinked. I would not hire him as a lawyer because he's not a closer. And his report just confused Americans. Ukraine is fundamentally different. People understand Ukraine. People understand the President of the United States picking up the phone, calling a foreign country, pressuring them in exchange for money that they have expected or a meeting, pressuring them to investigate one of his political opponents. And frankly, it's not just a betrayal of the Constitution and our democracy, but look at the Kurds. We have betrayed one of our most important partners, people who saved American lives. And that betrayal is to turn our friends and let loose on them Turks who we're going to see genocide. While it may not end up that is an impeachable offense, it adds to the tale of a president that simply should not be president.
I want to just follow up with you on one thing. This is, most everybody in this room loves Bill Clinton, yes, but there was reporting back in that impeachment time that you were the only cabinet member that actually, you adore him, I'm sure, but actually during the Lewinsky business that chastised him and said, the White House needs moral leadership. And it seems so prescient and obvious, but are there lessons that you take from that experience?
No one's above the law, and every president ought to be held accountable. And it doesn't make any difference whether it's a close personal friend or you're working for the person. And I think one of the things that's broken in the impeachment inquiry is the courage of civil servants, the courage of people that serve our country, of ambassadors, of whistleblowers who care deeply about our democracy and take their offices seriously.
Congresswoman Murphy, you're one of the more inspiring sort of new faces in Congress. And by the way, one of the people in Florida that the Republicans, as a former reporter, I can tell you this, fear the most as a future candidate. But I'm wondering, you were sort of new to politics. Are you as idealistic today as you were when you ran?
I am idealistic because I get an opportunity to live in the greatest democracy in the world, having escaped communism and socialism. So I am idealistic. No matter how messy our process is, no matter how difficult it is for us to find true north, I know it's better than the country that I escaped, that without any due process, any sort of consideration for human rights, would round up their constituents, their countrymen, and send them off to re-education camps. I have seen the ugliest of what governance can look like. And so every day I thank my lucky stars that a U.S. Navy ship found my parents and I afloat in the South China Sea and gave us an opportunity in this incredible democracy. No matter... And that's why this moment in time is so incredibly important for us as Americans to set aside our partisan differences, Democrats, Republicans, independents, and live into what makes us special as the United States of America. We have to defend our Constitution and our democracy irrespective of who's doing what their partisan affiliation is. But at the end of the day, we cannot allow ourselves to go by way of the banana republics that we have seen all over this world. We have to stand up to tyranny. We have to speak out when we see people abusing power. And we have to do this as Americans united for the future of this country, not as Democrats or as Republicans. And I know that I'm saying that at a Democratic event, but I hope you'll join me in being level and being fact-based and being driven by truth and by data and by facts and by transparency and accountability. And that's how we need to proceed at this precarious moment in our country's history.
Congressman, I'm going to switch it to a little more superficial topic, not for you, but I'm not going to have you antagonize 2/3 or more of the room by saying who you're supporting in the Democratic primary. But as a very, very smart Democrat who have great instincts for the people on the ground, what is your advice for winning this primary and then winning the general election?
Well, I look at the last primary election in 2016, and there was a lot of concern, and I was a Hillary Clinton supporter at the time, but that the deck was stacked in her favor, and that discouraged a large minority of our party who was supporting Senator Bernie Sanders or other candidates. So my North Star is, one, we want to have an open and inclusive process. We want to have many debates. We want to have a diverse slate of candidates. And I, for one, among many of my colleagues, have not endorsed, so that it is the Democratic faithful that will make the decision for our nominee in this next primary election. And I believe if we do that, we can't fear debates, we can't fear crowded primaries. We will get the best candidate and the best support and get our message out the most by having that battle over ideas. But we must remain in good faith with each other. And we see that mostly in the debates already. That is key going forward. We saw what happened in the Republican presidential debates where they all attacked each other. Now, their nominee won the presidency, so it wasn't fatal, but that's not our brand. We're united, we're positive, we have visions for America, and we have multiple visions, and these debates are about what the united vision will be going forward.
I bet you every single one of us in this room thought the election was over after those Access Hollywood tapes came out. And given that, how worried are you? I mean, Congresswoman Shalala, what would be what's the message you think Democrats need to be primarily sending when they get to the general election? Is it about Trump? Is it about something else?
No, it's bigger than Trump. It's about, when the freshmen met with Speaker Pelosi, she said, "Welcome, you're here to save our country." So it's far more, it's the eloquence of two of my colleagues. It's far more important than President Trump. It's about what kind of a country do we want to have. Our candidate has to have a positive message. It has to the candidate has to bring people together. We can't have a fight over class or race or religion. It has to be a candidate that makes us feel good about our future. And we can't have candidates that are chewing each other up on the way. I'm very worried about the election. I'm sure that the House of Representatives is going to do the right thing, but I'm very worried about the election. We have to inspire people, and they have to get out and vote. We have the votes in Florida to win Florida, but we have to turn people out.
And Congresswoman Murphy, what are your thoughts? I mean, coming from a pretty tough district, what do you think your constituents want to hear on the campaign trail?
Well, I'll tell you as a mom of an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old that our politics aren't worthy of our children or the future of this country at this moment. And for me, it's about restoring the dignity of our democracy and of the people who serve in those roles. And so I'm looking for somebody for whom I can turn on the Sunday morning shows and allow my children to still be around when that's playing, right? And I'm looking for somebody who has a trade policy that enables the small businesses and the consumers and the farmers in Florida to know what direction they're going in and whether or not their future is going to be stable and secure. And I'm looking for somebody who doesn't, with a tweet at 3 a.m., disturb the markets because he said something that's crazy. Or I'm looking for somebody who, when I go overseas, I don't encounter counterparts who say to me, it doesn't look like America wants to secure their democracy anymore. What assurances do I have that you'll help us secure ours? That is an astonishing moment in time for us to be on the world stage, weaker economically, weaker from a national security perspective, and weaker domestically. So I want a steady hand at the helm of state to lead this country into the brighter future that we're all looking for.
I think we're going to have to wrap it up. I'm just going to say, if people say they're scared, and we should all be scared given what's going on, but if you look at the size of this room and the conversations people are having and the 3 people on this stage that are representing Florida, there's a whole hell of a lot to be optimistic for. So let's give them a round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Representative Dan Daly.
On February 14th, 2018, Valentine's Day, a day that was supposed to be like any other, day where children would go off to school and come home safe to their parents, turned into a nightmare. A gunman who, frankly, had no business owning any of the weapons he owned, walked into my alma mater, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, and opened fire, killing 17 and wounding 17 more. 14-year-old Jamie Guttenberg was one of those innocent souls lost that day. Her father, Fred Guttenberg, has become a tireless advocate for common-sense gun reform so students may have the opportunity to go to school without fear of a weapon of war being unleashed in their halls. Fred has given me the honor of introducing Jamie's Law in the Florida legislature, legislation that would require a background check on the sale of all ammunition in the state of Florida. Tonight, we welcome this tireless advocate for a safer Florida, my dear friend, Fred Guttenberg.
Thank you. I don't belong here tonight, do I? No, I don't. But boy, what a minute. Following me is going to be somebody who I admire from the bottom of my soul, our agriculture Agriculture Commissioner Nikki Fried, who is a hero to me. And then, of course, following me also will be Senator Coons, who I stood just a few weeks ago and watched on the Senate floor as they did a marathon session talking about why we need to do more in this country about guns. So thank you for being here. So with that, I want you all to take a moment with me and imagine your perfect day. I'll give you mine. Senate Majority Leader Schumer just finished passing comprehensive gun safety legislation that was already passed by Speaker Pelosi's House. And I did say Schumer because we're planning ahead. And it's going to be signed by President any one of them For me, that would be a perfect day. Maybe your perfect day is more simple. It's just the sun is shining, your family's healthy, you're thinking about an upcoming vacation with somebody you love. Maybe you're just sitting in a movie and you're just feeling relaxed. So is everybody kind of in their perfect day? Boom! One single shot. Just like that, you are now the latest victim of gun violence. For me, that sound is real. Could have been anyone, but it was my daughter, Jamie. And I live with that sound and imagining her final seconds in my head every second of every day. I am a parent that goes through every day hoping my daughter died instantly, because the alternative is she suffered. And I fear that she did. People always say, I can't imagine how you feel. You know what? I need you to imagine how I feel. I need you to be part of doing something about it. I need you to understand that failure simply means the next time it's going to be someone you love. So with that, let me tell you my story. Back in October 2017, I lost my brother to cancer that resulted from his service in the World Trade Center 9/11 tragedy. My brother was a physician. At the time, he was the deputy medical director of the New York Fire Department. My brother was in the World Trade Center when it collapsed. And amazingly, with this group of 10 other doctors that he was with, hid out in a room that for some reason, while everything else around them turned to rubble, the room did not collapse. He went on and had this amazing life in the world of emergency service until cancer hit him in 2013, pancreatic. Now my brother is I describe him as a cat with 9 lives. He went through surgery, chemo, radiation, and amazingly they said he was cancer-free until it came back in 2016. Ultimately taking his life. 4 months after his loss, 4 months after that devastation, I thought I could never be a part of something so horrible again, but I was. On February 14th, Valentine's Day, Day of Love, started in my house like any other day. Chaos. My dog's barking, the kids were running late, my wife and I needed to get out the door. What I remember about that morning is rushing my kids out the door. What I don't remember about that morning is telling my children I loved them. You see, it wasn't supposed to be the last time. I am haunted by the fact that I cannot remember if I told my daughter and my son that morning, I love you. The last time I saw my daughter, I was too busy saying, you gotta go to school, you gotta go to school. The place where she eventually died. Thankfully, my son made it home. My daughter, Jamie, was murdered that day. What happened to my daughter and doing something about it is now my life's mission and purpose. In fact, it was Vice President Biden one of the many unexpected conversations and relationships that I have formed that really set me on a path. He talked to me about mission and purpose. Mission and purpose. For me, that defined how I could go forward. And I remember what he said. The pain never goes away. But every day you go forward with mission and purpose, you put a little more distance between yourself and the pain. And he was right. For me, my mission and purpose quickly became one of reducing gun violence so that parents, children, siblings, extended family, friends no longer have to go through what too many are going through today. I don't remember much about the immediate aftermath of my daughter's murder in that week. What I do remember is my decision and approach would be different. I mostly said that week, I'm going to break that effing gun lobby. And go after their money. Because by going after their money, you take away their strength. No offense to the many elected legislators in this room, I wasn't interested in you. For me, that approach didn't work. The gun lobby was holding legislators and legislation hostage in my eyes. But we are breaking the lobby. We are succeeding. They are weakening. And the truth is, I have gotten to know some amazing legislators who are standing by my side and the side of the 40,000 gun violence victims a year. However, we have a Senate graveyard in the way. And the result of the Senate graveyard is more dead Americans from gun violence every day ending up in actual graveyards. McConnell likes to call himself the Grim Reaper. Now, there are many reasons to flip the Senate and fire Mitch McConnell, and we will. But his failure to address gun violence is reason number one. On my journey, I've learned that whatever position someone holds in life, we're all part of this same human experience. Because of what happened, I've gotten to know many wonderful people and developed many wonderful relationships. One of those, and I wish he was here tonight with his amazing wife, is my Congressman, Ted Deutsch and Jill Deutsch. The day I buried my daughter, Jill reached out to a friend of my sister's. They were mutually friends, and asked if they could come see us that night that I buried my daughter to pay respects at a Shiva call. And I first said no. I wanted no political people. Jill's persistent, and eventually, through this friend, got my sister to get me to agree that they could come. So to have Jill tell the story now, and again, I don't remember a lot from that week, but apparently I greeted them in the driveway to set ground rules. And I went out and I told them, you have 10 minutes in my house. And I said, apparently putting my finger up like this at Ted, Congressman Deutsch, I said to him, you are either with me or you are against me in this fight, and you don't want to be against me. Well, I can tell you, he's been with me. And to say Congressman Deutsch has fought by our sides to help us navigate things we knew nothing about. And I'm not just talking politically. He's been there for us personally. He's been there for us publicly. He's been there for us privately. And again, I wish you were here to hear me say this, although I've told him this. I love the man. He's truly a great individual. Another unexpected relationship is Congressman Wasserman Schultz, who again has become just a dear friend who I can't say enough about. Before the last election, I was in her Florida office. We were just talking. She just wanted to know how I was doing. And one of the questions she asked me was about the mission that I'm on and what's working, what isn't, what can she help with. And I remember saying to her, you know, I don't get how the NRA has so much power. They have really weak arguments. And I said, but they have one argument that I don't have an answer for. And she said, what's that? I said, when they say there's already 300 million guns on the streets of America today, and there's nothing you can do about that, they're not wrong. And so she said, you know, there is something we can do about that. If you're a prohibited purchaser of weapons, you're also prohibited from buying ammunition. The problem is there's no requirement for a background check on ammunition. We should do something about that. And again, I wish she were here today, but because of that conversation, with her, we've introduced in the House Jamie's Law, and through Senators Murphy and Blumenthal in the Senate, we've also introduced Jamie's Law. Now, DC is going to take a long time, so we're working through states, and I got to say, and I know Dan Daly, my amazing friend and representative, is around here. There he is, and Senator Lauren Book, they've introduced it here in Florida. So thank you. You know, we've not seen another 9/11 in this country because of the amazing efforts of many to take steps to ensure it doesn't happen again. We need to do that now with gun safety. These are two distinctly American tragedies. In one, we saw America stand up and take action, and in the other, America still must stand up and take action. No other family should go through what my family or the others affected by gun violence are going through today. This isn't just about those who were killed. Now, in Parkland, we had 17 killed, but there were 17 injured. Across this country, every year, right now, we're at about 40,000 a year who die of gun violence. That's about 100 a day. 23,000 a year who are injured by gun violence. And I hope you all can agree with me, that's not normal, that's not okay. No, go ahead and clap, because you know what? Think of it another way, people. By the numbers, if we don't do something, someone in this room is going to be a victim of gun violence. That's what it means, and that's why we must act. While I stand here today doing this, somebody just finished burying a victim of gun violence, somebody just finished planning a funeral for a victim of gun violence, and somebody just became a victim of gun violence. That's America today. So when the president says, the victims of gun violence, and he said this last month, love him. No, we don't. The truth is, I don't care about him. I care about what he says and what he does. And because of what he says and what he does, we must get him out of office. Before I leave here tonight, I just want to also remind you all about the Florida initiative known as BON, Ban Assault Weapons Now. These weapons of war have no place in our schools, but I don't just talk about school shootings, because the truth is, In America today, people get shot in schools, places of worship, malls, Walmart, Walgreens, on the highway in Odessa. So we must take action. And BON is simply a voter-driven initiative to get weapons of war off of our streets. If you haven't yet filled out and signed your petition, my only ask of everyone in this room tonight is to make sure you do so. With that, I thank you. I appreciate you. Fight together, because together we will save lives. We have no choice. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Florida's Agricultural and Consumer Services Commissioner Nikki Fried.
And I just want to say to my friend Fred, we love you, we are with you, and it has been such an honor to watch as he has been a trailblazer to keep the memory of his daughter alive. So one more round of applause for Fred. It is absolutely so terrific to be back here in Orlando. The most fired up Democratic base that we have seen in generations. Most of you have probably already heard me say this, whether it was earlier today or in some of my speeches as I travel around the state, but it's true. The energy that is in this room, the energy that I see as I am traveling up and down our state and all across it is electrifying. And it is growing stronger every single day as we are getting closer to the 2020 election. And it is that energy that is going to deliver our 29 electoral votes to our Democratic nominee, whoever he or she may be. It is that energy that is going to send Donald Trump and Mike Pence and Jared and Ivanka and Stephen Miller and all. He agrees. To send all of the cronies that came up to Washington, D.C. and send them packing and going home to wherever they came from. But I don't want to talk about Donald Trump tonight. I think when it comes to Donald Trump, we are all on the same page. So I'm not going to talk about Donald Trump tonight. I'm not going to talk about how Donald Trump has abused and defiled the office of the presidency of the United States. And I'm not going to talk about how Donald Trump has repeatedly and profoundly violated the public trust in the course of his term. I'm not going to talk about how Donald Trump has again and again attacked the institution of our democracy, or made a mockery of the presidency across the world. How he's empowered racists, trolls, white nationalists, President Putin, and how he has made us less safe and less respected all over the world. So I'm not going to talk about those things because we all know those. And that is why we are fighting every single day to take back the White House and to take back our country. So we know what we have to do in fall. We know what we have to do to make sure that we are turning Florida blue, because as you've heard time and time again, the road to the White House runs straight through the state of Florida. So now I'm done talking about Donald Trump, because I want to talk about what we can do and what we have done and what we as Democrats, when we hold our values and we hold positions and when we work on behalf of the people. You know, it's hard to believe that I've only been in office since January. And as everybody is aware, as I was sworn in alongside a Republican governor, a Republican cabinet, a Republican Senate, and a Republican House. And then all I have to say is that when I was sworn in as the 12th Commissioner of Agriculture and Consumer Service to the state of Florida, as I stood on the steps of the Capitol building and swore an oath to the citizens of the state of Florida, and raised my hand on a Tanakh and the other one in the air, I swore to defend and to protect our Constitution. And when I took that oath, it was in large part because a group of people who did not want me to succeed and did not want us to succeed. But you know what? We did. So let me tell you what a Democrat, even in the face of a near monolithic opposition from the Republican Party, can do. Let me tell you what a Democrat in a position of power in an elected office can and has done when given the opportunity. I was sworn in on January 8th of this year, and on January 11th, the better part of a century later, the Groveland Four finally received a pardon and an apology. Something that they had deserved for over a few decades. And it took 3 days and a member of the Democratic Party to get that accomplished. While standing up for justice and just a little bit of that Jewish guilt. And those 3 days to see justice was finally served to the families of the Groveland Four. And now this one took a little bit longer, but we started it on day one. When I took over the Office of Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, there was a serious, long-standing issue with the concealed weapons permitting that was overseen by the department. The previous administration had not looked into background checks for over 13 months, and allowing people who they didn't know whether they would harm or not harm our communities to get a hold of a concealed permit, and what they potentially could have done to our communities. And despite willfully ignoring the basic function of the office, permits were given out at a snail's pace. And a small lobbying organization called the NRA was essentially running the Department of Agriculture. This is what I walked in on day one. So let me tell you what this Democrat did on day one. We cleared house. Management of the Concealed Weapons Division, gone. Incompetence and inertia replaced with an experienced law enforcement officer and a team of people committed to filling the duties under the law and doing so in a way that ensures public safety for all Floridians. The NRA, Marion Hammer walking around acting like she owns the place, gone. And in place, we asked the legislature, the Republican legislature, to fund 25 new full-time positions to employ inside the division. And you know what? We actually got it. So and now, background checks are actually happening. The safety of Floridians are ensured, and concealed carry permits are actually being issued more quickly and more responsibly. And Marion Hammer and the NRA have been shown the back door. However, to quote the cat in the hat, that is not all. Oh, that is not all. In the last 9 months, we have harnessed the power of the Office of Agriculture to better serve the people of our state and businesses large and small and all across our state. and to effect and enact forward-thinking, some might say progressive, policies and initiatives throughout the entire department. We create the position, the first time ever in government, of an LGBTQ consumer advocate. And appointed Nick Harris. If you have not met Nick, you absolutely must do so. Force to be reckoned with as a first consumer advocate for the state of Florida for the LGBTQ community. And we put in place a plan for the first time in generations to implement sustainable best practices for burning sugarcane and agricultural crops to better protect our land and our air. We've also hosted the first statewide summit on climate change in over a decade. And we introduced sustainable energy legislation that will be introduced for this 2020 session. Again, things that should be common sense, but we had to have a Democrat elected first. And as Terry already said earlier tonight, we have been fighting every single day to reform the clemency process and to make it more fair and streamlined so more Floridians can ultimately see justice or a second chance. And I'm especially proud of this next accomplishment, something that is going to see meaningful impact for not only the state, but for the country and for the world, something that has never been happened here in our state, and we were able to accomplish it in the first year. We are bringing hemp to the state of Florida. Last session, the legislature passed, and Governor DeSantis actually signed, a law that legalized the production of safe and sale of industrial hemp and hemp byproducts like CBD in the state of Florida. And how about this for a kicker? That program that is going to be able to produce thousands and thousands of jobs in a multi-billion-dollar industry here for the state, they gave it to a Democrat to oversee. So I know a lot of people hear me talk about hemp and why this is so important to our state and why it is such the future of our state and because it is limitless. It is the potential to give struggling farmers a new lease on life, to create jobs, to grow our economy from top to bottom through our entire state. And what most people don't understand is that hemp has 25,000 to 35,000 known usages. That means it's going to be something that is going to replace plastics and styrofoam and concrete, all of which is biodegradable and better for the environment. And we are going to be the gold standard for the entire country and the entire world. And so by the end of this year, the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, under the leadership of Holly Bell, our new Cannabis Director, will be issuing licenses to farmers, to manufacturers, and wholesalers, kicking this new industry right from the start. Now, a little story. You know, after the first few weeks in office, I was having a press gaggle after a cabinet meeting. And the press came up to me and said, you know, you've done all these great things in your first month. What's next? I said, we're going to create a Cannabis Director. That made international news. We received more applications to be the Cannabis Director under Commissioner Fried than any other position that we had open. And so Holly is the first Cannabis Director in the entire country, and so we will be leading the way. And so this is all within the first 10.5 months. Imagine what could happen if there was more Democrats in Tallahassee. I know that we can move our country and our state and the world together when we are electing more Democrats up and down our ticket from our locals all the way to our state and federal governments. And we also know, of course, the most important election, and that is making sure that 2020 we are turning our state blue and taking back the White House. And I know we will, because we have no other choice. As Congressman Murphy just said earlier, she wants to eventually have her children watching the news and TV again. We have a moral and ethical obligation to our children to protect them. And the first way by doing that is having a president who understands what their role is, and that is to uplift and bring people together and to inspire the next generation of young women and young girls and boys who want to be president. Because I, at one point, was that 9-year-old girl. When my parents asked me what I wanted to do for my 10th birthday, I said I wanted to go see the White House. I want little girls to want to have that same dream and that same vision, and that means reclaiming the White House, and that means bringing pride back into the presidency. But as we go forward into 2020, we need to keep this in mind and remember, as you are knocking on doors, as you are making phone calls, as you are registering people to vote and talking to your neighbors, I want you to remember, yes, it is great to win, but it's not always about winning or beating the Republicans. It's about bringing people together to make sure that we have a shared vision of what the future of our country looks like. And when we put people into office that have our shared values and our shared morals and our ethical compass, we will succeed and we will bring our country back together. And I have complete faith and complete hope that we are going to turn our state blue because we don't have any other choice. Every single day, I get to wake up and be so blessed and so humbled to be Florida's 12th Commissioner of Agriculture and Consumer Services, and representing each and every one of you in Tallahassee, and working alongside so many of our friends in the Senate and the House who you heard from earlier today. Those are our true champions, because they are in the fight with us. And we are going to get into this arena, and we are going to fight like hell, and I am so honored that you are with me in this fight. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back Chairman Terry Rizzo.
Well, it is my incredible honor now, absolutely incredible honor, to present somebody who is going to speak with us. You've seen him on MSNBC. But where the people in this room may not have seen him is also on Fox News, because he's one of the Democrats who will go on Fox News and take them on and talk about the democratic values and what Democrats stand for. He's on the Judiciary Committee, the Foreign Relations Committee, and 3 other committees, including the Ethics Committee in the Senate. He's from the state of Delaware, and he's known for getting things done in Washington. As a result of Senator Chris Coons' efforts and his colleagues, the Senate has passed comprehensive legislation that improves prevention, treatment, and recovery to combat the opioid crisis. Earlier that year, legislation based on his American Dream Accounts Act to expand access to higher education and technical training to students in Delaware across the country. It was signed into law. In 2016, President Obama signed into law the Defend Trade Secrets Act, a bill Senator Coons introduced to better protect American invention and innovation. He's a tireless fighter for democratic values. He's a tireless fighter for working Americans. He's a tireless fighter for all of us. And I am proud to introduce the senator from the state of Delaware, Senator Chris Coons.
Thank you, Terry Rizzo. Thank you, Chairman Rizzo. Could we give her a round of applause for her energy, her focus, her leadership that's going to take Florida forward and America forward? Folks, I'm Senator Chris Coons from Delaware. And I hear that President Donald Trump thinks that Florida is Trump country. In fact, President Trump, I understand, announced his re-election just a few miles from here at the Amway Convention Center. And I have a sense from everyone I've met here today that you've got a response to that idea, not in our House, not in our state. So folks, if we're going to work hard to cancel Donald Trump's reality TV show, his lifestyles of the rich and famous, that's actually more the lifestyles of the not truly rich and the truly infamous, his Addams Family Meets Dynasty reality TV show, if we're going to move this sucker into reruns, we need you, Florida Democrats. You know, I can only think of one way that my being in front of you tonight could be better. And that's if my name were Bill or Andrew. If there were a Democratic governor of Florida giving these remarks, or a Democratic senator from Florida giving these remarks. So while I am honored to be here, and I appreciate the invitation, and I am grateful for all the leaders you've seen on this stage tonight, I will tell you it grieves me that there's folks missing from this stage. My dear friend Bill Nelson and his amazing wife Grace, for just 10,000 votes out of 8 million cast, would be here tonight with us, and he would be giving this keynote speech. So let's think about what it would have taken to get that done just a year ago. And let's think about what we're going to do together to make that happen for 2020. I was leaving church last Sunday, and a nice gentleman who's retired to Delaware came over to me and very earnestly said, "Chris, I've never been much for politics, but with this man in the White House, I see our values, I see our country, I see our future going the wrong way. So I'm ready to volunteer. I'm ready to get out there and do the work that has to be done. So a year from now when you need me, you just let me know." And he starts walking away. I grabbed his arm and I said, "Nope, nope, 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 not so fast." Because next October, all the phone calls and all the direct mail and all the TV ads, folks are going to be tired of us. Folks are going to be sick of us. Folks are going to think, I'm not so excited. I pulled him back and I said, "I've got a phone bank you can do this weekend. I've got some door knocking you can do this coming week. I've got a contribution you can make or a bumper sticker you can put on your car." And he looked at me and he said, "You seem awfully intense about this." And I said, "Let me tell you a quick story. I was in western Wisconsin. I was campaigning for Hillary Rodham Clinton. And a group of folks pulled me aside. We were at a coffee klatch, and they said, "Please tell us Donald Trump can't possibly win." There's a group of 5 women in their mid-50s, I was guessing, maybe educated, engaged, NPR listener types. And I looked at them and I said, "You want me to tell you what's going to happen next November?" They said, "Yes." I said, "I have a simple couple questions for you. Anybody got a bumper sticker on your car?" "Nope." "Anybody got a lawn sign in your yard?" "Nope." "Anybody made a $25 contribution to her campaign?" "Nope." "Anybody made a phone call from our local county party headquarters?" "Nope." I said, "I hate to tell this to you ladies, but you just told me exactly how Donald J. Trump is going to be the next president of the United States. We cannot afford to rest this one out. We cannot afford to sleepwalk this one out. If you believe, as I do, that Donald Trump is a threat to rule of law, that Donald Trump is abandoning our allies and our principles overseas, even as we speak here tonight, if you believe, as I do, that Donald Trump's cowardice is making more families like Fred's, victims of gun violence, then folks, we've got work to do. Now, I know I'm literally preaching to the choir. You've had an amazing convention here. You've trained, you've organized, you've gotten yourselves together. And honestly, when I got invited to come here today, I came here to get a helping of hope. And I'm going home encouraged, because Florida Democrats have got their act together for 2020. Nikki Fried, your commissioner who just spoke a few minutes ago, the first Democrat elected statewide since 2006, just elected in 2018. Your amazing congressional delegation who spoke earlier, who serve on committees and who've got great bills and wonderful ideas they keep sending over to that legislative graveyard haunted by Mitch McConnell. The Florida caucuses that were represented earlier, Senator Torres and incoming House Leader Jenny, you've got great leaders, and I heard at dinner tonight, all 5 of the most populous counties in Florida are now in Democratic hands. Folks, you've been hard at work, and you're getting good things done. But you know, there's more we need. You've got great resources. Give a round of applause for Ruth's List and all they're doing to fundraise and organize and mobilize. Folks, give a round of applause to our brothers and sisters in organized labor who know what it means to build the middle class of this country, to fight for the right to organize, to make easier the lives, not just of their members, but of tens, hundreds of millions of Americans who've lived better lives because organized labor built the middle class. And I think one more thing, because voter suppression isn't just something that happens on election day or election week. Voter suppression is a shaped weapon against our rights to vote that the Democratic Party has failed to protect enough in the past. And right here in Florida, you passed Amendment 4, and the Republicans are slow walking it every single day. Shame on them. And you should be proud of yourselves for what you've done to kick down the doors, to throw aside the barriers to voting that have been erected if we all follow the leadership model of the Florida Democratic Party, not just on the day or week of election, but full-time protecting the right to vote. We've got a stronger and clearer path toward the next election. Let me tell you a little bit about my health. I got elected to the Senate in 2010. I'd been in county government for 10 years. I know something about working at the local level and trying to solve problems. And I was an unknown, hardworking, relatively obscure senator from Delaware, nice young man. But in the last 2 years, I've suddenly had a chance to be on television an awful lot. Maybe because I'm on Judiciary Committee, maybe because I'm on Foreign Relations Committee, maybe because I'm calm and level. I'm the voice of reason. But I got to tell you, there's an internal cost for all this reasonableness. The Senate physician recently had me down for a little visit. He took my blood pressure and he said to me, "Senator, we've got something going on inside of you." I am on blood pressure medication for the very first time in my life, and my daughter Maggie calls them my Trump pills. I don't know about you, but I don't sleep so well at night. I try my best to figure out a way to work with this man. I have dined with Donald Trump. I have traveled with Donald Trump. I have prayed for Donald Trump. I have reached out my hand to Donald Trump. And honestly, 2 years in, I just got to say one thing. Enough is enough. Some of you may remember I was elected in 2010 because of a Tea Party candidate, someone named Christine O'Donnell, who had to admit in her first campaign ad that she wasn't a witch. My opposition research didn't cost me very much in 2010. But unlike Donald Trump, I am actually the beneficiary of a witch hunt when she flew off and I got to go to the Senate. As I've often said to Marco Rubio, who got elected the same time I did, we both got elected by the Tea Party, just in slightly different ways. So I want you to think about what all of this means. This heartburn, this agita, this difficulty sleeping, this elevated blood pressure. Are you ever tempted to just stop watching the dumpster fire, the train wreck, the unbelievable, endless litany of litigious folks, the people who either are in jail, like his former campaign manager or his former personal attorney, or the folks who we think are on their way to jail, like those two Giuliani cronies who just got found on a couch somewhere in Ukraine? Are you ever tired of this? You know, I got a theory that Donald Trump doesn't view us as citizens and constituents, but rather as an audience. That he hasn't figured out this isn't reality TV, it's reality. Because this man is the master of don't change that channel. Tune in tomorrow and see what happens with North Korea and Kim Jong-un. But this isn't playtime, folks. This is our future and our nation. This is something that was hard fought and hard won. At times it's tempting to say to myself, when I read his tweets, I think, I can't believe this man is sober. He's tweeting like this at 3 o'clock in the morning. And if it weren't so sad, it would be funny. But I have to ask you a question. What's this next election about? What is this next election about? It's so tempting to think it's all about Donald Trump because he's the shiny object. He's the thing on fire. He's the thing that we can't look away from. He's the wreckage of our democracy. But it's not about him. We know who he is as he slanders and smears and lies his way into trying to pick our primary winner so that he has the best chance at winning. We all should stand together and say, not in our house. You won't slander the candidates. We've got folks here who support everyone from Pete Buttigieg to Andrew Yang. I'm from Delaware, so you might be able to guess who's my favorite candidate. But I'll say this to the yays and the boos in the audience. It is my hope. It is my prayer. It is my earnest ask of you that we're going to have a vigorous primary. I'll be out in Columbus next Tuesday, and I trust some of you will too, and all of you will tune in. But when we get done fighting over what's the best path, what's the best policy, what's the best way, we got to remember, as Fred said, President, any one of them is better than what we've got today, and we need to pull together to make that happen in 2020. We need to pull together to put Donald Trump into reruns and send his reality TV show onto Hulu. You might have noticed I just got my hair cut. My normally long and luscious locks are a little more trimmed tonight. And the haircut I got just a few days ago was an interesting moment for reflection for me. The place I get my hair cut is it's not even a quarter mile from my house. It's across from my grocery store and a few blocks from my church, and I walk in, there's nobody else there. Woman behind the counter goes, "And you are?" First name, I said, "Chris." She said, "Last name?" I said, "Coons." She goes, "Yeah." I said, "New to Delaware?" She said, "Lifelong." She said, "But I'm from Seaford, the other end of our state." I said, "Oh, good. New to Wilmington?" She goes, 17 years. Stuck out my hand. I said, "Ma'am, I'm not doing a very good job if you've never heard of me. I'm your United States Senator, Chris Coons." She goes, "Uh-huh." You want a cut? So as I sat down, humbled as we all should be, I listened to her for a moment, and there's a lesson embedded in this. Because I believe what I do when I get on the train in the morning and go to Washington is to fight for her. She's a single mom trying to make rent. She's got a daughter she worries about. She wants a better school for her child.
She wants a school where her child doesn't have to go through active shooter drills. She wants a future where her mother's prescription drug out-of-pocket costs go down instead of up. She wants a future where she can save, where she has a better minimum wage and a better tip than she has now or she gets for most of her customers. And she frankly said to me, I get from all the other people who've walked by and said hi to you while you're sitting in this chair that you must be somebody. But honestly, all of you talking on TV, impeachment this and Ukraine that, she goes, if it doesn't get my daughter into a better school, my mom cheaper prescription drugs, my nephew off of heroin, and me into a better job, it's all just blah, blah, blah. So I think she's got a message, at least for me, if not for us. Those of us who get up every morning and can't wait to watch MSNBC and watch CNN and tweet at each other, at the end of the day, what matters is the things that matter to her. Because far too many Americans in Florida, in Wisconsin, in Pennsylvania, in Michigan, somehow got the crazy idea in their head that a billionaire who lives in a tower on Fifth Avenue was more concerned about them, their families, and their future than dyed-in-the-wool Democrats who've been fighting for these things for years. Folks, we've got a communications and an action challenge in front of us, which is to measure what we do by her daily reality and show her that when Democrats go to Tallahassee, when Democrats go to the House of Representatives, when Democrats go to the United States Senate, when Democrats take back the White House, how's her life going to be better? How's our world going to be different? And it's so tempting to think that this election is all about Donald Trump and who he is. I'll tell you again, it's not. It's about who we are and whether or not we are fighting for them. For the people of Puerto Rico, who, when Hurricane Maria hit, felt and were abandoned by their government and their nation. Have we done enough? Can we do more? Could we be better prepared? Can we combat climate change? I say, yes, we can, and with Democrats in charge, we will. Earlier this year, with a group of my colleagues, I went to McAllen, Texas. And I used to be a county elected official. I was responsible for a county police department, and we built a new county facility when I was county executive. I walked into a McAllen facility that was built as a county jail. It wasn't designed for 4, 6, or 10 people to be in one holding cell, and it certainly was never intended for 30 or 40 or 50 children shivering under Mylar blankets, not knowing where their parents are, wondering about their future. And I got to tell you something. We cannot let Donald Trump's reality TV, his Fox spin cycle define who we are. But I cannot believe that in this country, we will allow a president who intentionally uses cruelty against children as immigration policy to be reelected president of the United States. We've got a calling as a party. We've got a challenge as a party, which is to recognize that we have been entrusted, that we are stewards of the creation of this planet and of this remarkable state. When I ask people, what is the lowest mean elevation state, they almost always guess Florida. The answer is actually Delaware. So we've got something in common. But when on a broad, beautiful, sunny day like today, there is water rising in the streets of Miami, folks, we know we've got a challenge. It's not just record hurricanes overrunning Puerto Rico and record hurricanes overrunning Florida. It's forest fires in California. It's droughts in the Midwest. It's tornadoes we've never seen. We have to fight for our children and our children's children to heal creation and to seriously combat climate change. This president walked away from the world. We need to engage the world. We can heal our planet, but only with Democrats in charge. Let me know you care. Please get to your feet and tell me, Do you see this challenge? I do. We do. Let's face it together. Folks, you're from the state of Florida. Florida is the state through which the path to 2020 must go. I am so blessed to be with you tonight and to get hope from you tonight, because little old Delaware, we know where it's going. There are dozens of states. You can already put them up in the red or blue column tonight. We know where they're going. And my little state of 900,000 people will be excited to elect more Democrats again, and we're going to work hard to elect more Democrats again, and it's great and it's good. But right here in Florida, you have a chance to bend the arc of history. You've heard it said before by the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King and others that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. But folks, it only bends if our hands and our hearts, our prayers and our work bend it. It doesn't bend on its own. It bends through your action. It bends through your engagement. And when moments of unbelievable suffering come in front of you, we had a witness from Fred Guttenberg today. We had a story about a morning that was a Valentine's Day that should have never been remembered. It should have been one more day raising a beautiful family. Today, he should be enjoying his daughter, Jamie. He shouldn't be here with us. He shouldn't be telling us stories that bring tears to our eyes and a choking feeling to our throat. He never should have been at the balcony of Congress watching as we failed one more time. He shouldn't have gotten texts and tweets and messages, "Our thoughts and prayers are with you." He should be enjoying a beautiful daughter. And instead, she was murdered at Dorothy Stoneman Douglas High School. I'll tell you, I was overseas. I was in Israel on a wonderful bipartisan trip, and I got a text from a cousin of mine from Atlanta. He said, "I hope you're watching this," not realizing it was 3 in the morning there. Watching what? He said, "Just turn on TV." And it was CNN and the incredible young people of Parkland, Florida, challenging their elected officials, challenging their senator, challenging their governor, challenging all of us, and saying, "What are you doing to keep us safe?" One other quick story, probably the hardest constituent meeting I've had this fall. Moms demand action. 4 young moms, focused and asking. One of them had just dropped off her little girl for her first day of kindergarten. And she asked me a simple question. She said, "Do you remember doing active shooter drills when we were kids?" I said, "No, ma'am, we didn't." She said, "I know that you're a co-sponsor of all sorts of bipartisan bills on background checks and NICS denial, on so-called extreme risk protection orders. I know you're with us. But, Senator, is your job done? Is my daughter safe? Are our safe? I want you to think about the world that we are leaving to our children and grandchildren, where no one can pray in a mosque or a synagogue or a church without a security guard or looking over their shoulder. I was at Emmanuel AME in Charleston for the 4th anniversary, and their actions of forgiveness and reconciliation are remarkable, but they should not have been necessary. America knows Orlando partly for this amazing place we are, for the magic of Disneyland, but America also knows Orlando for the horror of the Pulse nightclub. We should be able to go to worship, to study, to enjoy ourselves, to love whomever we want without needing a security guard at the door or an active shooter drill. We must pass gun violence reform, and I will tell you that I spent August actually believing Donald Trump would take action. after El Paso, after Dayton, after Odessa, I actually briefly had a flickering moment of hope because he was taunting Republican senators for their unwillingness to stand up to the NRA. Well, you know where he is now? Cowering in the Oval Office, asking for their help to protect him from impeachment rather than standing up to protect our children from the violence of guns. Will we let this man be reelected? Please, God, tell me no. Folks, I love our country. I don't know about you, but when that Cub Scout came up here and so earnestly read from his paper the instructions for the Honor Guard, I went back to when I was a Cub Scout and a Boy Scout. I don't know about you, but I was raised in a good community. I was raised in a community where people respected our flag and our country. And I'm a Democrat because I honor our veterans and our service. I believe in the rule of law and our Constitution. Our country hasn't yet made it to that perfect, beloved community where we fulfill the promises of our founding documents. But we have, over most of my life, gotten better, more just, more inclusive, a country I am proud of, and a nation I am proud to serve. But I am afraid for our country tonight. As I look at the ways in which we've abandoned values and trusted allies overseas, and we have a president who winks at and encourages bigotry and extremism at home, I am worried about our republic. And I will not sit Shiva for our democracy. I will stand and fight for the things that we care about and we stand for as Democrats. For a more just and inclusive country, for a more vibrant and innovative country, for a more welcoming country. We're Democrats because we love all Americans. We welcome all, we hope for all, we work for all, we believe in all. So folks, know that the whole country looks to you. You have a chance here in Florida to make an amazing next chapter in our country's history. Together, let's change the arc of history. Let's put the Facebook down and make some phone calls. Let's turn off the pundits and go door knocking. Let's pull together and volunteer. Let's elect some Democrats to Congress. Let's send Fred to Congress. And the next time I'm here, I want to be applauding a Democratic senator, a Democratic governor, a Democratic Congress from this state, and a better future for all of us. Thank you so much. And God bless the state of Florida and the United States of America.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chairwoman Terry Rizzo to the stage.
Wow, 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 wow. Senator Chris Coons, let's hear it again for the amazing senator from the state of Delaware. Absolutely unbelievable. And thank you so much, Senator Coons, for joining us and giving us our marching orders. We're going to do it, okay? And I want to thank everybody here tonight. I want to thank all of you. I want to thank all of our wonderful speakers who were with us, and Senator Coons for finishing it off and batting cleanup and sending us home. Senator Chris Coons, Commissioner Nikki Fried, Fred Guttenberg, our wonderful congressional delegation members who are with us tonight, legislative members, and all our fellow Democrats who are here. Listening to our amazing speakers, I am reminded of our values and who we are and what we need to do. We are the Democratic Party. We are the party advocating to move Florida and America forward. We're fighting every single day for real change and to achieve change, to prevent falling short in 2020. We need to continue to invest in our party and this movement through organizing, through training, through donations from all our wonderful supporters to support the programs that will help us do this. This is a team effort, and it's going to take every single one of us doing our part in every way we can every day to win. Florida Democrats, are you with us? Are we going to do it? I'm going to ask you, actually, it doesn't hurt to ask because it's important to do so. Take up the cards at your table. Learn how you can join our Chairs Club. Learn how you can donate to the Florida Democratic Party and help us win in Florida. We need you to do that. We know it won't be easy. We also need you to be boots on the ground. We know we need you to knock on doors, make telephone calls, and elect Democrats up and down the ballot. Do everything we need to do to win in 2020. We can't do it without your help. We can't do it without your work. We can't do it without you. Please, please, everybody do everything you can. The road to victory runs through Florida. Say it with me. The path to victory runs through Florida. And Florida Democrats, we are going to do it. Are we not? Say it again. Are we not going to win? Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. And yes, we will. Thank you, Florida Democrats. I hope to see you all at the presidential candidates' dessert receptions following this evening. I want to say onward, Florida, and I want to thank you for all you do tonight and all you will do to help us win in 2020. Let's go, Florida Democrats. Thank you.